Welcome to It's Always Sunny in China, I guess, because today we will be talking about two Jackie Chan movies. International superstar Jackie Chan. Yeah, I am your host, Red Drumarts.
I am Patrick, and technically speaking, it's always sunny in China and LA because, you know,
Yeah,
And
well, for one of them.
in both movies, we got a
Yes.
double decker day.
I'm Lugia. And is this the first movie that we've talked about with Jackie Chan?
I believe so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Unless we count like our modern movie review stuff, because
No, I don't count those.
if like that's the case, I talked about like the Ninja Turtle movie like a few days ago, like last episode. But yeah, I think this is the first Jackie Chan one.
Only took 113 episodes.
14.
Yep.
Wait, no,
Oh,
13. You're right.
This is 113.
Yeah, and today we're actually going to be arguably talking about his two most famous films. So yeah, this will be interesting.
Buckle up, folks.
A lot of unfortunate news though happened kind of this week. Again, a lot of passings, so I guess we can briefly talk about them and their influence. So Jimmy Buffett passed away. He's probably best known for Margaritaville, both the song and the actual, institution, the restaurant. Yeah, and he has a couple other, popular songs. I feel like the restaurant chain is probably like now the thing that most people know about. Also, I think he's the guy that coined like the term, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. He had a lot of alcoholism in his whatchamacallit, in his work, I guess. Yeah, he passed away at 76, so rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Either of you two, fans of his work, fans of his music?
I might have heard of some. I didn't know it would be him, though.
Yeah, I honestly I couldn't name a song of his off the top of my head.
Well, Margaritaville, but yeah. A
Other
lot of
than
people
that,
seem to think he did the Pina Colada song. He didn't, but it's a common misconception. Probably because Margarita Pina Colada. I don't know. He's not the only musician who passed away. This one you guys are probably a bit more familiar with. Steve Harwell, the lead singer of Smash Mouth, passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude, now the
Um.
dude is walking on the sun.
Yeah. That's the thing I kind of want to talk about. A lot of people, at least of our age and generation, seem to know him as a one-hit wonder, and particularly because of All Star. But no, they've had a few hits. Walking on the Sun, a couple covers that got popular.
I feel like
They're like first two albums are
unironically, he
pretty.
has one of the most iconic voices in all of music. Like, if you hear a Smash Mouth song, you will know it's a Smash Mouth song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like honestly, his cover of "I'm a Believer" is basically identical to the original, but his voice just kind of changes the whole feeling.
hmm
From what I understand, the first two albums of Smash Mouth are actually, they hold up, so I guess I'll be listening to them. But yeah, All Star is like particularly known for like being for like its use in film because it's in a lot of licensed movies.
Aside from Shrek, what else is it in?
Let's see,
Wasn't
All
it
Star
written
was
for
first.
Mystery Men?
Yeah, it was written for Mystery Man, which and you can see that in the music video because Ben Stiller and a lot of those characters they show up, and yeah, it's a pretty weird, interesting movie. Have you two either seen Mystery Men?
No.
I have not.
Like a lot of Ben Stiller movies, it's got a very like odd streak to it, and it's a pretty solid like kind of ahead of its time superhero satire because obviously those weren't common in the '90s. It was this one's more riffing on the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, but making them like kind of dark, very Burton-esque, I guess. Yeah, most well known for Shrek. It was also in Digimon the movie, the American dub of it. I remember that because the music choice in that film was terrible. It is incredibly jarring, and I don't know why they put it in there. They also put in the Bare Naked Ladies 1 week, so I don't know. Very
What?
strange film.
Is that
Very
a
strange
movie?
film.
1 week is a movie?
No, the Bare Naked Ladies 1 week song was in the Digimon movie.
Oh, I thought you meant that All Star was in
Oh no,
a Bare
no.
Naked Ladies. I'm like, what? No, I know that song. It's not in there. What?
No, both. Yeah, and I was just saying both songs are in this Digimon movie, which is like
Imagine if in the middle of
so
1 week
fucking
you
weird
just
to me.
stopped and you heard somebody.
Have you guys ever seen the Digimon movie?
No.
I know shit about Digimon.
Okay,
I know that there's this one Digimon that does a Christopher Walken impression.
Yeah. So the Digimon movies are very bizarre because 4Kids, I'm sure you people are familiar with that company, but 4Kids, they had very infamous dubbing practices where they basically kind of just like rewrote the script and like changed the music of shit and basically bastardized a lot of like things. Like a lot of people don't know this, but the Digimon anime is actually like incredibly highly regarded in like Japan and like anime spaces. Like Digimon Tamers in particular is considered to be like a masterpiece. Like generally like it's held in like the same regard as like Evangelion, like to some people. Like but you would never know that because in America they just got changed into really stupid kid shows.
If
Um
memory serves, didn't you mention during our Pokemon the first movie episode you thought that Digimon the movie was better?
yeah, that's because like I'm talking about like the original thing. I was talking about Digimon R War Game, which is what the bulk of Digimon the movie is based off of. So technically, Digimon the movie technically combined three short films and turned them into one movie. But Digimon R War Game is like where most of the plots comes from, and it's like 40-45 minutes, so it's like pretty decently long. That's
Random
amazing. Like Digimon R War Game is like genuinely like it is fantastic. And what's really funny is Digimon R War Game, it's directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who is if you're not familiar, he was one of Miyazaki's prodigies. He directed The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and that movie Belle, Mirai, Summer Wars. He's a pretty big deal, you know? So yeah, like the Digimon movie is directed by, like literally by one of anime's like most acclaimed directors at the time. Or like he
ran-
became one of anime's most acclaimed directors.
random question. If you watch Digimon the movie with no prior knowledge of Digimon, will you be lost?
No, as long as like you just have like the know the general idea of Digimon, but you probably should just watch the show.
Did they
And
explain
I'm
like what they are, like how Pokemon did it?
I mean, listen, I haven't seen Digimon forever, and when I rewatched our War Game, and I was able to pretty much pick up on everything. I was like, oh
I
right,
was just
yeah, like this is.
I was just curious. I don't have an interest in checking out Digimon. I'm just curious.
I don't know how good it was if you have like zero familiarity, but I would actually recommend you check out Digimon Adventures, the and Digimon Tamers, because like those two in particular, like I remember being like very highly regarded among anime fans. Here's the funny thing with Digimon is like a lot of like really high profile people worked on it, which is like the funny part. Like I said, Mamoru Hosoda like wrote, directed a lot of like the first Digimon series, but Digimon Tamers was written by I believe his name is Chiaki J Kanaka. Yeah, Chiaki J Kanaka. He is best known as the writer of Serial Experiments Lane and Rasifon and he created like some of the most like experimental out there. Like basically imagine if like I don't know, Stanley Kubrick or like the guy who made Ex Machina or like I don't know, Ridley Scott like right after Blade Runner and Alien, he was just like I'm going to make a kids show. That's what basically happened. But like the kids show still has like all the themes that he explored in his serious work. It's just now for kids and it is interesting. Anyway, that was a weird tangent. It was also in Inspector Gadget and Rat Race, the All-Star song. All right. Um, Jack Sunny also passed away. He is known as the guitarist for Dire Straits. He was like the guitarist during the Brother in Arms era, which is their 1985 album. I don't know if you guys have listened to Dire Straits, but like I know my dad was a big fan of it, and I've heard a lot of their music, just through him putting on the radio during like drives and stuff. You ever listen to Dire Straits?
I'm
Can't
not
say I have.
sure.
Yeah. Well, he's just like one of those classic kind of late '70s like through the '80s bands. He's one of those. So how do you guys want to do it? Do you want to talk about Rush Hour first and then Police Story, or Police Story and then Rush Hour?
Um,
I feel like I have more to say about Police Story, so I think we should start with Rush Hour.
All right. Okay, sure. We'll start with Rush Hour, especially because I'm like 90% certain most of us probably saw Rush Hour before we saw Police Story,
Mhm.
like in life.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Rush Hour is a 1998 film directed by Brett Ratner, though some of those claims are a bit disputed, as apparently he wasn't the most attentive on set, and Jackie Chan would often kind of step in and direct some stuff. It's we follow Detective Inspector Lee of the Royal Hong Kong Police Force, and basically he's close friends with consulate, a very significant like figure in Chinese politics. He's basically kind of his personal bodyguard, and he's very close to their family. Anyway, the daughter of the Chinese consulate gets kidnapped while they're visiting LA, and they basically send Detective Lee to America, and because the FBI doesn't want him involved in the case, they assign this kind of like hotshot, rebellious cop, Chris Tucker, played by Chris Tucker. He's his character's Carter, and
James Carter, which is kind of funny to me because his name is technically Jimmy Carter.
oh,
Imagine that. Imagine Jackie Chan and former President Jimmy Carter teaming up for something.
but anyway, yeah. So basically, these two they just kind of want them out of the way. But these two, being kind of renegades they are, they kind of try to solve the case on their own, and it leads to a lot of interesting hijinks and a lot of interesting kind of back and forth. Um, the first thing I kind of want to just mention is, have you guys seen the Beverly Hills Cops movies?
Uh,
Yeah, I've seen the first one, and yeah, I was reminded a lot of that.
I want to say I
Yeah,
saw the
Chris.
first one, but it's been a long time.
Okay, so I'm just saying, Chris Tucker is very clearly like doing like a half Eddie Murphy, half Chris Rock thing, like in
Oh
his
yeah.
performance here. Yeah, very flamboyant. I also want to say, as much as like people call this a Jackie Chan film, this is the Chris Tucker show. He is absolutely the main focus. He is very much the driving force behind like the story. He's the main character, and like Jackie Chan is very much like the guy that kind of like bounces off of him, and I kind of just find that funny because like this isn't the first like buddy cop movie I've seen that happen. Like if you ever seen the original Bad Boys, everyone remembers as like, oh, the Will Smith movie, and it's just like I think people just remember the guy that does like most of the action because like in terms of the actual like story, Martin Lawrence is like in the movie way more than Will Smith is, and he like plays much more like has much more bearing on the plot. What did you guys think? Oh wait, yeah, what did you guys think?
So I've already seen this before, and seeing it a second time, it was just as good as I remembered, although the first half of the movie might be a little uncomfortable for some because a lot of it is driven by racist jokes.
So a lot of it is like race humor, but like it's like a specific kind of race humor that is like interesting to me.
I mean, it's not supposed to be offensive. They play it more for laughs, if anything, but like if you're someone who could get easily offended by these jokes, it might not be for you.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like race jokes and like even like when they are making jokes, like race is very clear like a kind of a tangible element of the film, when they go into like different communities and whatnot. And I think it's kind of fun like bouncing off. Like what's particularly unique about Rush Hour compared to like other buddy cop films is like they always do like either like the foreigner and the like white American, or it's a white guy and a black guy. When here it's a foreign Chinese man and a black guy, and that's like a much more unique dynamic in terms of action films. Like honestly, I'm sure some people probably thought this movie was like progressive at the time, just because a black man and an Asian lead, and like they're the focus of the film, and it's mostly focusing on black and Asian culture.
Like you, Lugia, it's been quite a while since I first saw this one. I do remember enjoying it when I first saw it, though. Yeah, I very much enjoyed myself here with this one again. But again, like you said, a lot of it does rely on race humor in the first half, and that's just not really my thing. So a lot of the jokes at the start didn't really land for me. But as it picks up and we get more interactions between Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, then and their chemistry really comes out, then I think the humor
Yeah.
really gets better.
Yeah, I think like their chemistry is like it's a real show stealer. I don't really care about like the act the action isn't bad or anything, but like it's very much like the reason you watch this is just for like Chris Tucker's riffing and the chemistry with him and Jackie Chan.
As much as the racist humor didn't really land for me, I did like how at the start Jackie Chan doesn't actually speak to Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
Until later
it's
he's like,
like, oh,
"Wait, you can actually speak English?" I let people who like to talk, so I can hear if they're full of shit.
Yeah.
yeah. Also, like I like the callback too at the end of the film where like it's revealed that Chris Tucker speaks Chinese.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's a great like kind of payoff. But yeah, there's like a lot of things about this film that like I feel like you just wouldn't see anymore. Not just like the race jokes, but like well actually like not just the race jokes, but like someone saying the N-word in a PG-13
Yeah,
movie that isn't
actually,
black.
Jackie Chan
actually,
himself.
actually, I
I was like,
remember
"Whoa."
when I first saw this movie, I was like 10 years old, 9 years old. I was still in elementary school, and it always stuck to me. Like, this movie's rated PG-13. They say the word shit a lot. Like, I don't know what the protocol is. I know for the F word, you can use the F word once in a PG-13 movie. If it's used
Sometimes
sexually, then it's
twice.
immediately
I thought it
R.
was 3 times.
I don't know, but
It's
I just
it's
know that if you
once
use the F word sexually, then
90% of
it's
the time it's
immediately R.
once, but they have 90% of the time it's once, but they have given exceptions where it's gone like 2 or 3 times, but the rule of thumb is 1 time typically.
I don't know what the protocol for the word shit is though, but they use the word shit a lot.
One thing I thought was interesting is they kind of just like casually mentioned going to church at one point in the film. It was like, "Where were you at church?" And it was like, I went to the night service." I was like, I can't think of the last time I remember church getting mentioned into like a mainstream film before. I was like, huh. I was like, I guess like we're more uncomfortable with like talks about religion now. We're just people don't like really attend church as much as they used to, so it's not like as prominent. But like, I just thought that was interesting, just like a an element of the film. I was like, oh, I never noticed that. As for the action scenes, it was competently, shot and staged.
I think my favorite
Obviously,
sequence I think my favorite sequence was when Jackie Chan is trying to get into the house while he's still handcuffed to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
my
all the
favorite
crazy
sequence is
stunts he's doing, still having the steering wheel attached to him and flipping the gun through it. Like it's just great.
I really liked the sequence with like in the bar with the pool cues and stuff, just because I felt like that was just like such a quintessential Jackie Chan thing, where it's like it's in a unique environment, he's kind of using the environment like the pool cues and stuff, and he's saying I don't want no trouble, and like he does not want to fight, but he's just kind of forced into it. As like because that I just feel to me just kind of perfectly gives you Jackie Chan's like action movie persona. So I just thought that was like if this was like your introduction to Jackie Chan, that's the perfect scene to like introduce you to him. I also really like the climax. Like I feel like there was a lot of fun stuff there, and
Oh
also
yeah, the climax where they're fighting around valuable, priceless artifacts centuries old, and Jackie Chan's also making sure like that they don't break.
And then it
But
just
then it breaks
breaks when
anyway.
he puts it back up.
even Chris Tucker holds his own like in the action scenes well. Like I think obviously like you're there to see Jackie Chan like fight and stuff, but like Chris Tucker, he's not bad in the action scenes.
You see him get progressively better as Jackie Chan teaches him like more techniques, like how to take a gun from somebody, and you see that in the finale, which is really cool.
I know some people
Yeah.
can't stand Chris Tucker because of his shtick. I personally think he channels it just right here.
It's a little bit more annoying in the sequel. The sequel's just kind of like I'm just gonna briefly talk about it just for a second, but like
That's fine.
it's not as good as the original, but I think the action's a little bit better, and yeah, and like it's just like a general like pretty clever idea to have like a kind of like role reversal thing with now Chris is in Beijing or whatever, and now he's the fish out of water. So I thought that was kind of a good idea. I think it gets a little bit too sticky, but like the action's pretty good, and it's still got like what you'd want. I guess like one thing is like because you kind of already know like all the characters and everything, they don't waste time with the setup. So like the movie just kind of starts like immediately with the ground running. Also, the movie like it takes place like right after this film because this film it ends with him like going to Beijing to visit Jackie. And then Rush Hour 2 is like they arrive in Beijing and now all this shit happens. So yeah,
I will say,
I've never
at
seen
least when
3.
it at least when it comes to Rush Hour 2, I do think that the action scenes are at least a bit more memorable, at least in terms of what's going on. Like I love the scene where they're fighting in the massage parlor.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, that's the scene I
everybody's
was
in
thinking.
towels and they're using that to their advantage, and like that scene has like been stuck in my head ever since I first saw it. Like it's so ridiculous, but it's so much fun
Yeah,
at the same time.
it's got a lot of unique settings, and from what I understand, like 2 in particular was the one where like Jackie was just kind of like ghost directing. I don't know if you maybe like combine.
Part of me also feels like Rush Hour 2 is a little bit funnier than the first film.
How many of these did they
You think
make?
so?
Like 4?
3.
3. There's a 4th
There's
one coming
rumored to
out,
be
I
a
think.
fourth, yeah.
Yeah, I never saw the third one. I heard the third one's not good. Like people like the first two, but
The third one is the weakest of them. It's still it's still fun. It still has its moments.
I do recommend seeing the first two at least because two is like a pretty good action flick, and I think one has like this very good done. I guess watch one if you like Chris Tucker more. Watch two if you like Jackie Chan more. I guess I don't
Fair
know
enough.
because it like makes sense. Because obviously like two takes place in China, so Jackie's gonna be more of the star, and like one takes place in America, so Chris Tucker's gonna be more of the star.
And 3 takes place in Paris.
Uh,
Pulling a
yeah,
page right out of the Rugrats. Except there's no Robo Reptar this time, so
yeah. But anyway, not to talk about the real kind of meat Police Story. Police Story is widely regarded to be Jackie Chan's best movie. It's also directed by Jackie Chan, and not like no ghost directing. Like he just has the directing credit. He is the director. Even in Rush Hour they show kind of the bloopers. They have a blooper reel at the end in the Rush Hour movies. And and the Police Story kind of shows you a little bit of a behind the scenes stuff too.
honestly,
But yeah,
I miss when movies did bloopers. Like at least for comedy films, I think it's fun because
mhm,
you get to see the actors having a good time. For stuff like horror movies or like action dramas or whatever, then
obviously
yeah,
not. Yeah.
Honestly, I see
obviously
them
not.
more in a
No,
lot of bad movies as a way to like tide people over to sell that people worked on these and they tried, I guess.
I always remember like the fake ones that Pixar used to do at the end of
yes,
their movies.
oh, those were great.
Like blooper reels used to be so like common that they made parodies of blooper reels. It's like okay,
Bring them back. Hashtag bring back blooper reels. Anyway, police story.
yeah. So, Police Story. Let me go into I guess the behind the scenes of that. So, Police Story was a 1985 Hong Kong Chinese action thriller, directed and starring Jackie Chan, who co-wrote the screenplay with Edward Tang. It's the first film in the Police Story franchise, which is a pretty big franchise. Let's see, there's Police Story 1, 2, 3. 3 subtitled Super Cop, and then they have a spin-off, Super Cop 2. So 3 is like a buddy cop with him and Michelle Yeoh, and Super Cop 2 is just Michelle Yeoh. Then they have a Police Story 4 First Strike, which in America was just released as First Strike. From what I understand, it's kind of operates as its own kind of like standalone, and then you got the new Police Story movies, which are also their own kind of standalone things. So yeah, from what I understand, the first four in Super Cop and the Super Cop movies are pretty good. I've heard more mixed things about the more recent entries. Everyone seems to think that Police Story 1 is the best one. This stars Jackie Chan and Maggie Chung. I don't know if you guys remember Maggie Chung, but we've talked about her before. I believe in the she was in the Mood for Love. Yeah, yeah. So the main lady in the movie, May
Mm-hmm.
Kiko, the girlfriend.
Actually,
She's the
that's
love
something I want
interest
to
in
ask.
the Mood for Love. Yeah,
Their relationship is supposed to be boyfriend girlfriend, right?
yeah. May is his girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay, because at one point I genuinely thought they were brother and sister because Jackie Chan's character addresses her mother as mother, and I'm like, wait, are these two related?
No, it's just kind of like a honorific thing that goes on in China. Kind of like when you get married, you kind of refer to like your stepmom as like mother sometimes, like honorifically. Is that kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't know if they're married, but like it's that kind of same kind of thing. But yeah. But anyway, yeah. So apparently, so Jackie Chan made this film because I guess the interesting behind the scenes thing is this was actually filmed after his American film debut. Technically, the thing is though, is like no one remembers that American film debut because it wasn't good, and Jackie Chan knew it wasn't good. He thought it was a disappointing experience, so he was like, "I'm gonna like make like my magnum opus." Is like he's gonna constrain as many large scale action sequences with elaborate, dangerous stunts preferred by Chan and his stunt team, including like car chases, yeah, hanging off bus and stuff. He really wanted to like outdo himself because he was so disappointed by his last film,
Well, you
which is
want to do something right, you got to do it yourself.
yeah, which is actually kind of like a common thing. Like that's how like that's when Martin Scorsese like I always remember him saying that like the reason he made Mean Streets was because he was so disappointed with his last film and he was like I wasted like such a huge chunk of my life on a piece of crap that like it didn't even feel like me. So it's like the next movie is going to be like just something that I want to make, purely me. That way, even if it's a failure, at least I know it's like my failure. It's not anyone else's fault. But anyway,
What was Jackie Chan's first movie, if you don't mind me asking?
his first movie or first American movie?
American movie.
It was called The Protector, 1985. It was directed by James Glickenhaus. But yeah, it was meant to be his American film debut, but it was like a complete failure, and it was only like a moderate success in Asia.
I just looked it up, and I like how the first YouTube video I see is the greatest action film you've never heard of.
Listen, I'm sure even like Jackie Chan, like at his weakest, like when during his prime, even Jackie Chan at his weakest was like pretty good. So
But he didn't see this as a good debut.
he was disappointed with the experience working on it, and so
Okay.
he just kind of like put all that frustration into his work. But yeah, much of the film was created surrounding the action sequences, with Chan and the filmmakers kind of developed via linear progression. And yeah, it's frequently considered to be one of the greatest action films of all time. And in 2016, it was voted the fifth best action movie of all time in Time's Up poll of film critics, directors, actors, and stunt performers. And his final stunt, where he slides down the pole in the mall, is considered to be one of the best stunts in the history of action cinema. It's
So good they
that
did it
stunt is
3
like
times.
And they showed it off in the blooper
Yeah.
reel too.
Yeah, they showed off 3 times because that shit is dangerous as hell. Like it's insane that
doubt
Jackie
it.
did that himself. So yeah, just a quick plot synopsis is basically it opens with this big ass action sequence where they arrest this gang, and then the story basically becomes a kind of like comedy where it's him protecting this witness, but a bunch of like things go wrong during the course of it, and a bunch of like funny bits happen, and then in the end it kind of becomes like this kind of revenge. I was framed kind of more thrillery element to the film. And so yeah, and I think it kind of balances the genres like pretty well, going from comedy to drama to thriller to just kind of fun action. It's surprisingly wide spectrum of emotion in this film.
So, if I can give my take for a second. So, this is a bit of a strange movie for me to talk about. Because when I looked up this movie, I saw the plot synopsis was that it was about a police officer being framed for murder. So I went in expecting, oh, is this something like The Fugitive? That's like the last 30 minutes of the movie. So, but like I'm watching it, and that first action scene with the village, and they drive through the village, and the bus chase and everything. I'm like, this is great. This gives off, like, even the score and everything gave off this like '60s TV show vibe, and I was totally down for it. And then when Jackie Chan's character, who is literally named Jackie Chan, is put in charge of watching after Selena, then and she's nearly murdered by this psycho wielding a knife. I thought that's the point where, oh, she's gonna be killed, and they're going to think that Jackie Chan did it because he's the one who's supposed to be looking after her. And I thought that's where the movie would kind of kickstart that whole framing thing. But then they devolve into all the comedy stuff, and I was enjoying it, but I'm still like, when is when is the murder thing gonna happen? So this was weird because the movie kept throwing me off with what it was doing. Like, I don't know, Lugia, what did you go in thinking?
Well, first off, I don't know if like that messed with you because you saw the plot analysis first before going into the movie blind. That might be on you.
Probably.
This movie does not take itself seriously, and I like that up until a point because I think the action is great. It's over the top. Some of the comedic moments are genuinely funny. I mean, they get the prosecution and defense in the court scene to have powdered wigs. Like, they knew what they were doing, but it also got to a point where some of the more serious stuff I cannot take seriously. Like the relationship between May and Chan. Chan just comes up as an asshole most of the time.
I thought that was played for laughs too, honestly. Like I think the only serious part was the last act. I thought the entire movie was a comedy until the end. Because I think you're supposed to find like him being a complete idiot with May funny. And like it kind of is if you like read it like that. It was like him just being this kind of loudmouth idiot. that's like trying to act hard in front of people, but like then his like girlfriend's like around. He's like, oh shit, I didn't mean it. Like I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny because like he was just like he's a dumbass. Like that's
But like,
and,
I
like
don't
he
think
also
it
like
knew when to dial it down.
that's fair. But like this movie's like a complete like kind of farce to me, and an impressive like farce. It's almost like remind me of like Police Squad. It like not Police Squad. The Naked Gun at sometimes. If you guys have ever seen those movies,
I've seen the first Naked Gun, and that movie is hysterical.
I thought
Great
this movie
Leslie
was like more
Nielsen.
like a spectacle kind of like take on like a comedic cop thing like that. Um, but yeah, want to talk about the action sequences?
Oh, they were just
Like we can go like one at a
phenomenal.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So the opening action sequence was always the one that like immediately got stuck in my head. I was like, this has gotta be one of the best opening like scenes I've seen. Them destroying the shanty town, all like the different. They do so much, and it's impressive. And then you have like the chase on the bus, and it's crazy. And like you see Chan's face in that, so like you know he did it. I was like, holy fuck! Like people thought what Tom Cruise hanging off the plane in Mission Impossible was impressive. I was like, nah, Jackie Chan using an umbrella to hang off a bus, that's fucking impressive. And then from there you have the kind of like sequence with the comedic sequence with May, which clearly a bit hit or miss for you guys, but I enjoyed it. And then the kill sequence, the slasher sequence I thought was pretty interesting because I don't it doesn't seem like you picked up on this, Patrick, but that was his cop friend. Like he was faking it because May was
No, I
like
know
not
they were
May.
faking it because, well, I eventually knew they were faking it when Jackie Chan came in and they started, communicating with each other. But up until that point, I was like, wait, who? Like I said, I thought that would be the point where she was going to be killed and they would assume that Jackie Chan did it.
Listen, I think because you read that incorrect plot summary, that kind of like completely fucked you up because yeah, no, that's not the movie. But
But I don't want to misunderstand. I did like the movie. I was just thrown off because
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know what it was doing.
I really like the action sequence after that like fake comedic one because
Were they
with all the
yeah,
so
the
much car
cars.
destruction. I was like when like the actual like car door got ripped off, I was like, holy shit, that was like sick. And yeah, there's actually just a lot of vehicle destruction, and then May having her not May. What's the other lady's name?
Selena.
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 Okay, so Selena and like her trying to like fight off while like Jackie's doing all this stuff. Like I thought that was just like a really good sequence. I thought like the weird kind of like hitting gag was like a little like the some of the May stuff was like a little bit off like after that, but I did like the payoff in the courtroom sequence where like they play the recording and just completely comes like the May stuff like to me was like half annoying, half really funny because like I feel like it was getting annoying, but then there'd always be like a punchline that kind of won me over because like every time May seems to like be forgiving him, he does something really stupid again, and like I don't know, every time that happened, it cracked me up. It was like, oh May, you're in court to like support me, and then he plays the audio tape. Is like, oh fuck.
I had a feeling that given the tone of the movie, they would do something like that. Like they played like I think it was a song beforehand, like on that tape, and then it was the actual conversation.
Yeah, no, I knew like the actual like conversation wasn't gonna happen because then like the movie would be over. But like I just saw that was like funny. This isn't really an action sequence, but I thought it was like impressive. But like the whole phone sequence,
Oh,
like
the
in the
phone
police
sequence
station,
was so funny.
it was really funny. But also was like there was like some impressive physicality with him like trying to juggle all that stuff, and like in the end you see all the wires like all across like the room. It was like I thought that was like a really great scene. That's probably like the best non-action scene in the film, I
Yeah,
think.
I agree. The visual
Yeah,
humor in that was
that was great. I
fantastic.
also love this is such a short bit, but when Jackie is late to court and he slides into the parking spot, the guy's like, "Hey, you took my spot. Nice parking
Oh
job, by
yeah,
the way."
yeah. That was really funny because again, and here's the thing: this was like before modern special effects. They did this shit in the '80s. So like when I saw that parking thing, I was legit like, how the fuck did they do that? Like,
I strive to parallel park as good as that.
yeah, like I legit have no idea how the hell they did that. That was amazing. Yeah, and then the mall sequence was there were sequences like before the mall when he was like trying to save Selena and whatnot. That was pretty good. That
Mall
one
sequence was
that one
great. I have one little nitpick about it though. In the
what?
middle of it, the score just stops for like
Yeah, and it
5
stays
minutes and then it
silent for
comes
like
back.
3 minutes.
And it's jarring because the score for this movie like is great. Like I said, it gives this like 60s action TV show vibe to it.
Yeah, and I feel like because of the '60s action thing, like it kind of leaned into the comedic stuff. Because like when I hear that, I'm thinking like Adam West, like
Oh yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
Like even the sitcom stuff, I'm like, this feels out of like an old sitcom, like I Love Lucy or something.
yeah, and because of that, like I think like the comedy and like the action all like kind of blends well. But that mall sequence, that was like on another fucking level. Like that was like I thought the climax of Rush Hour was good, and then I rewatched the climax of this, and I was like, shit. I mean,
If
Rush Hour also gonna have like a similar kind of sliding down a pole thing at the end, but yeah, it was like there was like so much, and there was a good catharsis with like they're like Chan, don't beat up that guy, and then at the end like Chan just beats the shit out of him anyway, and then they were just like, all right, we won't write that in the report. It was like okay, that's kind of funny.
there's one thing I will complain about is it's how the movie ends because it
Mhm.
just
It was a bit
it
abrupt.
stops
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, it like wait,
it was
that's
pretty
it?
abrupt. I was like, oh okay, like I didn't really expect there to be much. I just expected there to be like maybe one extra scene of like maybe like winding down, but like no, it just kind of ended right there, and I was like,
No,
okay.
because Jackie Chan just puts Chew in a shopping cart, pushes it, and he crashes into a display case, and some of the cops grab Jackie Chan, and that's how it ends. Maybe they follow up with that in the sequel. I don't know.
I really like the motorcycle part in the mall. Like I thought that shit was crazy. Yeah, yeah. I just really thought the motorcycle scene was pretty good.
So much
Um,
glass breaks in that scene.
one thing I thought was kind of funny, was every time a character falls from like a distance, they kind of flail their arms about, which I thought was just kind of like a funny visual thing. Like they like made sure that like when they fall, they kind of fall down goofy just to add like an extra layer. I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, physicality and like the pratfalls stunts just on another level. Like in terms of just pure action, this is one of the best action films ever made. And you can like argue some of the other parts don't maybe gel as well, but like it's still just a really good time.
It's still a fun
Um,
watch.
It
yeah.
is.
I like this more than Rush Hour, although maybe Rush Hour was maybe like a bit more like cleanly put together. But I just had like so much fun with this.
Sound like a weird comment, but considering the juggling genres and everything, I feel like this movie actually could have benefited from being longer. Maybe something okay, not to the length of Sholay, but considering how that also had a bunch of genre struggles, this could have been maybe an hour
What's funny,
longer.
what's funny is like I also kind of compare this to Sholay in my head. I was like, this kind of reminds me of Sholay. like,
Because again, if the plot synopsis told me it's about a murder, you could have had that as more of the movie, maybe. I don't know. Is it my fault for looking into what the movie is and the movie?
Yes.
Dude, I checked
yeah.
Google for the plot synopsis. That what it said. I checked IMDb. It said it was about a murder. I checked a bunch of different sources. So is everybody lying to me? Is this a collective joke against me?
The
I
only
don't know.
summary I looked
This
at
is
was on
weird.
Letterbox, and Letterbox said that he must protect the boss's secretary, who will testify. The summaries I looked up said that protecting the witness. But yeah, um,
Here. Search Google. Type in police story synopsis.
Inspector Chen, Jackie Chan was once the shining star of the Hong Kong police force, but that's all changed with his unit was slaughtered by a merciless gang of robbers, and Chan turned to the bottle to drown his grief. Now a year later, Chen is dragged out of the rut by his new partner.
Oh, this is
The
this is
hell's
this is
That
this?
new
is
police story. This
Oh,
is
that's
new
new
police
police story.
story.
yeah, that is not the
Okay.
same
This
movie.
is no.
I was
What
like,
the?
what
You see what I'm talking
I
about?
don't recognize this at all.
The internet is tricking me. The internet is tricking me into what
Yeah.
police story is. Again, I did enjoy
Actually,
the movie by the end of it. I had a great time with it. I'm just confused.
this is a completely different movie, but I saw this movie a few days earlier, just like on my own for fun, called Pedicab Drivers, directed by Sammo Hung, who is actually one of Jackie Chan's friends. But it reminded me a lot of this because it had a similar balance of comedy, had a similar balance of had a similar romance element. I'd say this one got like a lot more dark towards the end, and it feels a lot more like Sholay actually, but has a similar like comedic sense and action thing going on, and it also ends abruptly. And I'm just starting to think like maybe like that's action films in the 80s in China just like ended like that. They just ended abruptly because I saw like one from this was like 85 and Pedicab Drivers 89. They both kind of like have a similar, abrupt ending, and like they're both kind of comedic action films. So I was like, oh, okay. Watch Petty Cab Driver if you ever get the chance. By the way, like we always end these episodes was like, oh, if you like this, watch this. Yeah, that's my recommendation. If you like Police Story, watch Petty Cab Driver.
And if you like Rush Hour, watch Die Hard 3.
And Beverly Hills Cop. So, Lugia, you're on the docket.
Okay, so I've given this some thought for a while. So what I have is a movie that I haven't seen in full. I've seen it about halfway. We've never talked about a Kevin Smith movie yet, have we?
I don't think so.
We have not.
All right, so this is a first. So next week, we're gonna be
Nooches.
we're gonna be talking about Dogma.
Oh, perfect. That's like my favorite one.
Dogma.
Yeah.
You ever heard of it?
Wait, hold up.
It's the religion one.
Wait, yes, I have heard of this movie. I have heard of this because of the dispute between the Weinsteins and streaming and how it's not available online. I've heard of it through that. I don't know anything about the movie itself, though.
It's also like one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. Like I think like the original Clerks might be like a little better, but like Dogma's like I really like that. My favorite thing though is the animated series, which is only 6 episodes, and another thing about it, I might recommend the animated series one day because that's only 6 episodes, and I recommended Fully Cooley, and that was also 6 episodes. Cool, Dogma.
I think this will make the thumbnail very easy for you, Patrick. And you'll know when you see the movie.
All right. I believe.
I wonder if it was named after Dogma 95 because that's an avant-garde film movement. Yeah, so next week we'll be watching Dogma, directed by Kevin Smith, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and a bunch of other people.
Matt Damon.
And George Carlin.
Wait, for real?
Like I said, a bunch of other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
George
in this.
Carlin plays.
Oh,
he plays
yeah.
Carlin.
All right.
I got a lot of people. They got Chris Rock, Salma Hayek, whatchamacallit, Alan Rickman. Obviously, Jay and Silent Bob. So, Jason Lee. Just a ton of people. This is an incredibly. Alanis Morissette shows up. That was the Police Story Rush Hour episode. Have a nice day.